Hey there guys, how's it going? Back with another movie review. This is a movie that came out back in 2016, and it's a movie that sadly never got a theatrical release over here. It was released over in America, but I don't remember this one ever getting a release over in the UK. So sadly, I wasn't able to see this one when it came out, but I saw it recently, picked it up very cheap on DVD, and this is a very underrated action film, I gotta be honest, and it's a recent action film starring Mel Gibson. Now, Mel Gibson, one of my favorite actors of all time, always been a big fan of him. I think he's just such a great character actor. And in regards to action movies, I think that he's extremely good in proper hard hitting, R rated, fast paced action films. That's one thing I like about Mel Gibson. He's very, very convincing and very, very lifelike in action films. Like, he just always looks the part, even at his age. I mean, he's in his mid 60s, and in this movie, I mean, this was only 3 years ago, so he's not exactly a spring chicken. And I gotta be honest, man, for a guy of his age, he really does look the part in fight sequences and whatnot. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, man. I really did. It's a proper fast-paced, really tongue-in-cheek, somewhat satirical action film with a lot of comedy. One of the things I loved about this film is the dialogue, the dynamic between Mel Gibson and his daughter. Basically, the gist of the plot is Mel Gibson's a an alcoholic ex-convict who is living on a trailer park in sort of like a trailer park community, and his daughter has been missing for several years. And his daughter, basically, she's been getting involved with the wrong people. She's been hanging around with crackheads and gangsters and whatnot. And her boyfriend is like some big shot gangster, and at the beginning of the movie she shoots her boyfriend to save a woman's life, basically, who he was trying to force her to kill in order to initiate her into some gang business. And basically his whole associates, like all these gangs and in the area and whatnot, and even gangs from Mexico and shit, start going after her. And she goes to her dad for protection, basically, to try and help her, give her some money and help get her out the country and get her to safety and get her away from these criminals. And basically, yeah, they track her down. And the whole thing's about Mel Gibson basically on the road trying to protect his daughter and, trying to fend off these gangsters. And I think this movie's really good. I really think it's a blast, man. I really had a lot of fun with it. There's one action scene in particular towards the end, which takes place in a car, where Mel Gibson is sort of handcuffed by these guys and put in a car, and he believes his daughter's about to be killed, and he just goes absolutely insane. It was proper vintage, crazy performance from Mel Gibson. He bites people, he slaps them, he'll shoot them at close range. Um, it's just some really, really cool and bloody action scenes. And I really, really did enjoy this film. I really did. There's some real funny dialogue between him and his daughter. Um, there's one scene in particular where, because his daughter has brought all this trouble to his door, and there's all these criminals coming after them, and he finds out that she's a junkie and everything, and she basically says to him, she's like, "I didn't want you to know about this. I didn't want you to give you a bad impression," and he's just like, "Oh yeah, because you'll ruin the great impression that you've given me so far." And there's a lot of real funny, like sarcastic humor from Mel Gibson. Like, I've always found Mel Gibson to be really comedic. Like, he's got really good comedic timing. He's a very funny guy, and I just think that this movie, like I said, it was fast paced. It was R rated. It was bloody. It's got some real funny dialogue. There's a lot of real tongue in cheek humor. There's some very good action scenes. Some good shootouts. There's a scene where he's dealing with this guy who's trying to snipe him and whatnot. And Mel Gibson, I just think, is always really, really convincing in these types of roles. He really looks the part, and he's absolutely jacked in this movie. Like, this is one of the things I noticed right away, is that he was really, really bulked up for this film. Like, he was bigger than I've ever seen him before, and that obviously helped to look the part in the action sequences and whatnot. So I think it's just a really underrated and really fun, modern, fast-paced action flick, and I would be inclined to give this one a solid 7 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie. Obviously, it's not perfect, but I mean, for 2016 action film, I actually think it was really underrated. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think anyway. Thanks for watching, and God bless. And stay tuned for more reviews. I got a ton coming.